Welcome to Domain 3, Section 3.2, AI Security, Architecture and Design. In this session, we will look at the roles an organization plays with AI, the idea of secure by design, and the architecture considerations that make AI genuinely different from ordinary software, including data dependency, storage, configuration, model selection, regulatory impact, and change management. Why does this matter beyond the exam? AI cannot just be bolted onto your existing systems and hope to be safe. Understanding AI security architecture lets you build protection in from the start, anticipate the ways AI breaks the usual rules, and avoid expensive surprises once a model is live. Let's start with roles, because the right architecture depends on how you engage with AI. A provider offers products or services that use AI. A producer designs, develops, tests, and deploys those AI products, including the model designers and developers who build them. And a customer uses an AI product or service directly or by passing it to its own users. Knowing which hat you wear shapes every security decision that follows. Before expanding your architecture for AI, you must fix what is already broken. Existing problems, like poor data management or a missing security control framework, will only be magnified once AI is added, potentially deepening current vulnerabilities and creating new ones. The security professional is central here, because understanding the types of models, their components, and their intended uses is what makes a sound architecture and a credible business case possible. A foundational principle is secure by design, which means building technology so it reasonably protects against attackers from the very start, with security woven in from inception through end of life. It rests on three principles. First, take ownership of customer security outcomes, such as proper consent management for datasets and securing data pipelines. Second, embrace radical transparency and accountability, including explainability for your systems. And third, build the organizational structures and leadership to actually achieve security goals. Importantly, your secure development practices do not fundamentally change for AI, but they must be deliberately extended so that AI security is considered at every stage, whether you are using AI to assist development or building a new model yourself. Now let's walk through the architecture considerations that make AI unusual, beginning with data dependency. AI depends fundamentally on data, which makes it acutely sensitive to changes in that data. A model is trained to expect very specific data attributes, so an unexpected change in the input or in the source or pre-processing can quietly break it. The fix is to document the exact data the model requires and confirm production inputs match, adding pre-processing to bring data back within expected tolerances when needed. The next consideration is data storage. AI can generate an enormous volume of data, and both that output and the data feeding the model need somewhere to live. Even when storage is cheap, those large volumes create real exposure to data leakage and misuse. So the architecture must define clearly how and where AI's inputs and outputs are stored, with attention to shadow activity, drift, and access control. Configuration management is another area that looks different for AI. Beyond tracking standard configuration items, AI systems have adjustable post-production parameters that must be monitored for drift from the standard. Crucially, the data pre-processing used in training must stay consistent with the pre-processing used in production, right down to using the same tokenization, or the model's performance becomes unreliable. Model selection sits at the core of the system. A model's behavior can be tuned after training through parameters. One such setting controls how varied or creative its outputs are, dramatically changing the results from the very same model. Behavior can also shift when the underlying model itself is swapped for a new version, which can alter outputs significantly. Because models are often opaque, their behavior varies with data sources, training methods, and even the ethics of their developers. So model choice is a serious architectural decision. Two broader considerations complete the picture. Regulatory and societal impact means recognizing that rules are still catching up to AI and that public sentiment keeps shifting. History shows technology can both eliminate and create jobs. So organizations must watch this evolving landscape, and AI change management is essential because building this architecture takes many groups working together, and the change process must be updated to handle AI-specific elements like model provenance, data drift, access control, scalability, and workforce reskilling. One change management point deserves special attention: emergency changes. With ordinary software, a developer can patch a flaw in hours, but retraining an AI model can take weeks. So, for urgent issues, organizations rely on alternatives like rolling back to an earlier model version or adding input and output validation around the model to shield it, with all emergency changes still reviewed and approved by key stakeholders. Let's bring it all together. AI security architecture starts with knowing your role as provider, producer, or customer, and fixing existing weaknesses before adding AI. Secure by Design builds protection in from the start through its three principles. And AI demands special attention to data dependency, storage, configuration consistency, model selection, regulatory and societal impact, and a change management process adapted for slow retraining and emergency rollbacks. You now know how to architect AI securely. Every important topic and idea from this session is covered in the multiple choice questions on RooCloud.com. Before you move on to the next session, work through the chapter-wise questions there, because these architectural distinctions are exactly what the exam probes. Practice first, and then move forward with confidence. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.